Hello and welcome to Nithrania YouTube channel. You're watching another episode of the Game in a Nutshell series designed for explaining the board game rules. My name is Branislav Berec, and in this video we're going to learn how to play Dirt and Dust, a game published by Albi, designed by Petr Čáslava. It's a game for 1 to 4 players, so it also has a solo mode, plays in about 90 minutes, and let's get started. To set the game up, first prepare the stage. Choose one of the stages in the game. This is one of those stages. The game comes with other stage decks, and this is a trial deck which is shorter than other stages. Usually the stage comes with 10 cards. These cards have numbers in the bottom right hand corner, 1, 2, 3 and so on. When you choose the stage, arrange the cards in the deck so that the card number 1 is at the top, card number 10 is at the bottom. And then reveal the cards and place them on the stage board. Place the card number 1 at the bottom of the board, then card number 2, followed by number 3, 4, 5, 6 and so on. And then the cards numbers 7, 8, 9 and 10 are in the deck. You can return all the remaining stage cards back to the box. They will not be used in the game. Then create the display of these racing team cards. This display always contains 9 decks, numbered from 1 to 9. Again, the number is shown in the bottom right hand corner of the card. And for your first game, choose the cards with letter A, or choose the decks with letter A. These are base game racing team decks. For future games, you can also use the cards with letter B. These are advanced game racing team cards. You can completely replace the base cards with these advanced cards and only use the cards with the B letter, or you can mix them. For example, you can use one deck from the advanced set, another deck from the base set, but make sure each number is used only once in each set, which means you can never have 2 decks with the same number in the game. If you want to prepare the trial stage, you will use these 5 stage cards and you will use the mix of these cards, and you can find a full setup description on page 14 of the rulebook. Then place the popularity die here and prepare the general supply of these red dice. These are boost dice. For the moment I will keep them off the camera. And then each player takes this racing team board and the player board. Place your car figure in this space with number 4 in the top row. I will place it like this for better visibility. Then place these permanent damage markers with this black and white side up. Arrange them from number 1 to number 7. Place 3 hazard dice in these spaces. Their orientation doesn't really matter. And place the damage marker on the 0 space of this damage track. Place each player's popularity marker on the 0 space of this popularity track and the speed point marker on the 0 space of this speed point track, which is a victory points track. Then these are range and traction dials. Set both of them to 0. Place your navigator tokens and passive effect tokens somewhere next to your player board. Take 3 dice of your color. This is your dice pool. And then take your starting deck. Starting cards have the letter S in the bottom left hand corner. Take 2 cards with number 1 and 1 card with number 2, 3 and 4. So 2 cards named prepared, 1 card on the road, 1 card tightening screws and 1 engine tuning card. Then randomly choose one of the drivers, or if you want you can choose the one which you prefer. The game comes with 4 drivers. Each driver has a different set of cards, which means each driver has a distinct play style. Take all these 10 cards together, shuffle them, and place them face down on this space. This is your draw deck. Now draw 5 cards into your hand. Keep your hand hidden from other players, and that's the end of the setup. Dirt and Dust is a rally car racing themed card game in which players build their support team and improve their car in order to navigate through the stage so that players gain the most popularity and especially the most speed points. Although it's a rally car racing themed game, it's not really a racing game. It's more of a team management game. You will have to make sure that you keep your car in a good shape, in a good technical shape. Prepare for each and every section of the stage so that you can use the full potential of each section. The game is played over 10 rounds because each stage has 10 cards, or only 5 rounds if you play the trial stage. And each round has 4 phases which all players may actually play simultaneously. In the first phase, players will roll their dice and assign these dice to their racing team board. Then the second phase is driving phase, in which you will be able to play cards and place them on your racing team board, then activate these cards using the dice. You will be able to purchase new cards, map out the stage, which means you will place your navigator tokens on some of these stage cards so that you can use the effects of those cards, and later you will be able to gain speed points or victory points from these cards. You may also use some other special actions in this phase, and then in the third phase the bottommost stage card will be evaluated. Any player who has a navigator token on that card will either gain speed points or popularity points based on the position of your car on your player board. And then the last phase is the preparation phase, when you prepare for the next round. The game ends at the end of the 10th round, when all these stage cards will be evaluated, so they will be all gone from this stage board. And then, in addition to the victory points or speed points you gain over the course of the game, you will score these speed points from any cards you have purchased during the game. The player with the highest popularity will get some additional speed points, and you may lose speed points for any hazard dice which you have in your dice pool. Then the player with the most speed points is the winner. Now I'm going to explain every single phase in more detail, and we will start with the first phase, dice rolling phase. All players can perform this phase simultaneously. Take all the dice in your dice pool. If you have any hazard dice in your dice pool, roll those as well. The player with the highest popularity also gains this popularity die. In case there are 2 or more players with the highest popularity, then no player would gain the popularity die. But let's say yellow player has the highest popularity, that player will gain the popularity die. And then take all the dice, roll them, and immediately resolve this hazard die. One side is blank, which means there is no effect. If the die shows any red damage symbols, for each symbol move your damage marker 1 space to the right on the damage track, and if it shows any popularity symbol, which is this blue symbol, you gain that popularity. Now, if you have the popularity die, look at the number on the die and subtract that many popularity points, and then place all your numbered dice on your team board and keep the hazard die, or hazard dice if you have more of them, in your pool. Don't return them back to your player board. I will talk about these hazard dice and hazards in general later in the video. Now take all the dice and place them on the matching spaces on your player board. It may happen that, for example, let's have a 2 here, you may have more than 1 die in the same space. If you have a boost die or dice, again, if you roll them, place them on the matching spaces as well. And at the start of the game, your racing team board is empty. Later in the game, you may have cards on the racing board. If you have any die which matches the number on that racing board, simply place the die over there. This is actually what you want, because you will be able to activate the card with the dice which are above those cards. And that's it, that's the end of the first phase. Then the second phase is called the driving phase. Again, players may play this phase simultaneously. On your turn, you can perform several different actions. You can play them in any order. You can play them as many times as you want or as you can afford. And now I'm going to explain all those actions. So, one of the actions you can do is to play a card from your hand to your racing team board. This doesn't cost any resources. You can play it for free, and you can place the card in any empty space on your racing team board. As soon as you do it, the card is now considered active. Then the second type of action you can do is to resolve the card you have on your racing team board. You can only do that if you have any dice available above the card. To activate the card, take a die which is above the card, place it below the card, and now you can activate the effects on the card in any order. These yellow effects are passive effects. They are activated with these passive tokens. I will talk about those in a minute. On many cards you will find this symbology. This means that if your car is in this top row, which means it is accelerating, you trigger this effect. If it is in the bottom row, in this one, it is decelerating and you trigger this effect. Here we have a card in the top row, which means we gain 1 traction point. So you get a traction on your traction dial. If, for example, you activate this card, you play the card and you activate it with this die, there are 2 effects which you can trigger, this one, and as I said, you can activate them in any order. Again, here you would gain additional traction point. This effect allows you to discard any of your active cards, even this one, to your discard pile. I'm not going to explain all these effects. You can find them at the back of the rulebook. As you can see, there are lots of icons, but they are actually very easy to understand. If you activate the same card more than once because you have more dice available above the card, first fully resolve one activation and then you can resolve another activation. Here, for example, we gain another attraction point. And all these effects are optional, except for any effects with this small exclamation mark in the red triangle. You can also find one of those icons here, for example. These are mandatory. When you perform this effect, you must also perform the effect which is under that icon. This one in particular says that when you use this effect, you must discard this card to your discard pile. Then another action you can do is to purchase a card. You can purchase any card in the display, given you pay the cost in wrenches, which is indicated in the top left-hand corner of the card. The number of wrenches you have available is indicated by your wrench dial. So, for example, when I play the card, activate it here, I can gain 1 wrench. And now, after spending 1 wrench, I can, for example, buy this card. It only costs 1 wrench. And the cards you purchase are placed in your discard pile face up. You can buy multiple copies of the same card. And since players can play this phase simultaneously, if there is only 1 card remaining and there's more than 1 player who wants to buy that card, the player with the highest popularity gains priority, which means that player has a right to buy that card. If players share the same popularity value, then the player with the fewer speed points will get that priority. If any deck runs out, then it's no longer possible to buy the card from that deck. Then another action is mapping out a stage. With this action, you place your navigator token on any stage card on the stage board. You don't have to start from the bottom and go to the top. You can place these navigator tokens on the cards in any order. In order to do so, you have to pay the traction cost indicated in the top left-hand corner of the card. Here we have 3 traction. So pay 3 traction in this case, then take your navigator token and place it on the stage card. You can have maximum 1 navigator token on each stage card. However, more than 1 player can have a navigator token on a stage card. Let me say right away that there is an exception to the rule. If you have a stage card with this icon, it allows you to have more than 1 navigator token on the stage card. And then after you place the navigator token on the card, you have to trigger these effects. This one is optional, these arrows. They mean you have to adjust the position of your car by 3 spaces in the indicated direction. So in our example, it is 3 spaces to the right. And note, if your car is in the bottom row, these spaces are smaller. So by 3 spacing, we would go 1, 2, 3. Which means when you are decelerating, you can better maneuver your car. If you are accelerating, it is more dangerous. And then all other effects on the card are optional. In this case, if you are decelerating, you gain 2 wrenches. However, if you map out this stage and you place a token here, we have an exclamation symbol here, which means this effect is also mandatory. When you move your car and you are not able to move further in the given direction, regardless of how many spaces you are supposed to move outside of your player board, you only take 1 hazard. you immediately resolve it. As I said, I will talk about hazard later in the video. Then there are some special actions you can take. There are 4 of them. First, you may adjust the position of your car using the traction points. However, you can only do that if your car is decelerating, so it is in the bottom row. For one traction, you can move your car to the left or to the right, and you can repeat it as many times as you want. So, for example, for one traction, we can move 1 space to the left, for another traction, another space, and so on. Then you can use wrenches in a similar way to increase the value of dice by 1. So, for example, if we have a die with value 4, for one wrench, you can change that value down to 3 or from 4 to 5. Note that you are not allowed to change the value from 1 to 6. That's not allowed. If you want to go from 1 to 6 or from 6 to 1, you have to spend 5 wrenches. Then as another special action, you can resolve these yellow effects. These are passive effects. You can resolve them once per round, and when you do, place this passive effect token on that card. And as we have seen earlier, this effect means that this card needs to be discarded immediately after using that passive effect. So in our example, it would go directly to the discard pile. When you resolve this type of effect, you gain a red die. So take the die from the general reserve. It's a temporary boost die. Roll it, add it to your racing team board, and you can use it only in this round. At the end of the round, it will be discarded. And then, as this symbology indicates, for one hazard, you can gain 2 traction points. So you take the hazard, gain the traction points, and now immediately roll that die and resolve the effects of the die. In this example, we have 3 damage symbols, and we also have 2 popularity, but let's focus on these damage symbols now. For each symbol, move the damage marker 1 space to the right. When it reaches the last space, place it back to the 0, and if you have any damage points remaining, continue moving the token. But when you reach this space, flip the leftmost permanent damage token, which means part of your car is permanently damaged. You can find a description of these tokens and of these damages on the pages 18 and 19 of the rulebook. I'm not going to explain them all now in this video. And when you gain damage over and over again, you flip additional tokens, and when you are supposed to flip this one, your car is totally destroyed and you are out of the game. Then add the hazard die to your dice pool. You will roll it every single round with all your personal dice. And in order to remove the hazard die from your dice pool and return it back to your personal supply, you have to activate a symbol which looks like this, which may be very, very rare in the game. In that case, you simply return the hazard die back to your player board. You can have maximum 3 hazard dice in your pool. In case you already have all of them and you have to suffer another hazard, simply roll one of your hazard dice, immediately apply the effects, and return the die back to your pool. After all players are done with their actions, the second phase is over and we proceed to the third phase, which is stage evaluation. In this phase, as indicated on the stage board, all stage cards will be pushed down, which means the bottom stage card will be pushed off the board and will be evaluated. All players who have a navigator token on that card will either gain the popularity or speed points based on the position of your car on your player board. If the car is in this area, which is indicated by this icon, you gain speed points. If the car is in the red area, you gain popularity points. In our example here, we are in this space, so we gain 2 speed points. If the car was, for example, here, we would gain 3 popularity points. So here we get 2 speed points. The same applies to the blue player. They would also score a certain number of speed points. Let's say they have 3. And as I said, you can have maximum 1 navigator token on each stage card. However, if any effect allows you to have more than 1 on each stage card, if you have more than 1, for each navigator token you apply the same effect. So in our example, we would gain additional 2 speed points, and you can repeat this for all your navigator tokens. Then return the navigator token or tokens from the card back to the player's reserves. Remove the stage card from the game. Move all other stage cards down as indicated by the arrows, and then reveal the new stage card face up. Then the fourth phase is the preparation phase. First of all, as indicated by these arrows, move all your cards on your racing team board 1 space to the right. The card from this space is placed face up in the discard pile. All other cards are simply moved 1 space to the right. Remove any passive tokens from your cards. Return the popularity die back to the stage board. If you have any boost dice, return them back to the general supply. All the remaining dice are returned back to your dice pool. Now you can discard any number of cards from your hand, even 0, and then draw new cards from your draw deck so that you have 5 cards in your hand. At any time, if your draw deck runs out, reshuffle the discard pile and create a new draw deck. And that's the end of the round, and you can move to the next round. The game ends at the end of the last round when the last stage card is evaluated, and in addition to the speed points you have gained over the course of the game, add the speed points from all of your cards, take all the cards from your discard pile draw deck from your hand and sum up all these speed points. Note that sometimes those speed points may be negative. Then, as indicated here, for each hazard die in your dice pool, you lose 1 speed point, so here we would lose 3 speed points. And then the player with the highest popularity gains 3 speed points, the player in the second position gains 1. In case of a tie, all players gain the victory points or speed points for that position, so here both blue and purple would gain 1 speed point. Then the player with the most speed points is the winner. In case you reach more than 50 victory points or speed points, simply flip your token to the other side. So that's how you play Dirt and Dust. If you have any questions or comments, I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. You can find the detailed description of each driver in the rulebook, each driver and their abilities. You can also find the solo rules in the rulebook. If you have any other questions, I'll do my best to answer those questions. So, you've been watching Dirt and Dust video tutorial from Nithrania YouTube channel. My name is Branislav Berec and hope to see you next time.